So now we'll show you how to etch something. And then we'll be just about done. Now I'm going to etch something. I got this off of YouTube. I didn't come up with this idea. I made my own etching machine. So this is a 12-volt wall charger that came off something old. It only has 12 watts of power, and it puts out 480 milliamps DC current. Okay, we're going to play with some water with DC current, not AC current. Okay, and this is safe. I've done this. This is a safe thing to do because you're actually not touching the water. You're going to find the positive and negative wire that comes out of this adapter. And if you look on the adapter, right down here, I can get the camera to focus, right down here in the bottom, it shows you which wire is positive and which one is negative by the plug. Typically, the outside of the plug is negative, and I haven't found too many chargers that are opposite of this, but they do. They exist. The outside of the plug is negative. The center conductor in the plug is positive. So I just take the plug and I cut it apart to figure out which wire went to which, the outside casing or the inside casing. And then I cut it off and I mark my wire accordingly. Red for positive. And we're going to plug this in. Hopefully it's long enough. I can do it in the vise so I don't have to hold it. You're going to plug it in. You're going to keep your cables away from one another so you don't burn up your machine. You're going to hook your positive to the bar. Hopefully I can get this on there. And hook the positive to the bar. Maybe. Yeah, let me get an extension cord. I'll plug it in off an extension cord. You're going to hook your positive to the bar. And you're going to grab your negative. And this is a salt water solution. A tablespoon of salt water to, I don't know, a few ounces of water. Distilled water. You can use tap water. I just use distilled water. You're going to take your Q-tip. Let the Q-tip stirred around. Make sure your salt is dissolved in the water. Hook your lead to the watery end. Now you're going to touch it to your stencil. Oops. I can get you a little closer because it's actually starting to work. Come on. Baby. So this will start to turn brown after a bit. You just hold it on this spot, the water on that spot. And you'll see it, it takes a little bit. You'll see a little bit of smoke come off. You want to make sure you do it in a ventilated area. It does give off a little gas. It's probably not super great for you. I usually wear a respirator, but I can't talk with a respirator on. Can you see it smoking a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit.
You can see that it's starting to turn black. This probably isn't the best bar to do this on because it's polished. It's a little better if you don't have a high polish on it, but you'll get the general idea. And you can see it bubble.
Yep.
You have to do it a few times. You can wipe it clean. You just got to keep working at it.
This will make an etching that you can catch your fingernails on, right?
Yep.
Then for your stencil, did you just use painter's tape and cut out
That's what I
your?
use with this painter's tape. Yep.
Yeah, just a saline solution, right?
Yep. It's just a saline solution. You can see that it's starting to turn it black. And it's really starting to bubble now in certain places. There it goes. You just want to make sure you got everything covered that you don't want stenciled because or etched because it'll etch anything that this touches, the solution touches, right? And sometimes you got to use more than one Q-tip. It takes a bit. This isn't a super fast process. You also can use a old style battery charger for a car, but you have to use an old one. You can't go buy a new one and use it because they have a dead man switch in them, which doesn't allow, if it doesn't sense current in the battery, it won't work. You have to use the old one that you might find at a garage sale somewhere. But there's YouTube videos out there on how to make your own if you want to go through the work for making your own. If you got the electronic knowledge to use you can tear apart an old 12-volt battery charger like used for charging your tool batteries, and you can take the coil out of it, the transformer out of it, and create your own. But there's a little bit of wiring involved, and this is just easier to use one that's DC current instead of AC. So I think we got it etched. Pull some tape off to see if it's etched. Get it off. Clean that up with a little bit of regular water to make it hard to see. Can you see that in there?
Oh yeah.
So I'll just take the,
especially when you kill the
I'll
light.
shade it with my hand so you can see it. Can you hear that? That's the etch.
Oh, you can see the definition of the etch.
So that's etched in there, right? So
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to see. So what I do is I just take a little bit of gold paint that I got laying around, or whatever color you want. A little bit on a Q-tip.
You flip the camera around. There we go.
How's that? Just put a little bit on a Q-tip, dab it in there.
Raise it up just a little, Scott. Thank you, sir.
I'm just painting this with a Q-tip. And I'll just dab this off.
Hey, Scott, how did you cut this stencil?
I used a razor blade knife. Matter of fact,
Thank you.
this one right here. And I just cut it. You know, I just drew a letter T with my little fine marker on my, this is just blue painter's tape. I got a super fine Sharpie marker and I just drew a letter T. And I just cut it out. Now you could take your, like Matt's got a Cricut machine. You could make stencils with that. You could use, if you wanted a certain pattern, you could go buy a vinyl stencil and tape it down, or adhere it down with some kind of adhesive, self-release adhesive, just so that the water doesn't get underneath it. I mean, you can take this out of the vise. Let me unplug my charger. So that's all there is to that. So this is just a simple 12-volt, old-fashioned 12-volt charger that everybody throws away. Don't throw them away. They make good etching tools.
And just to reiterate, you put you clip the positive to the metal, and
positive goes to the metal, negative goes to the Q-tip.
Thank you.
Well, I'll turn this around so that the glare isn't on it, and you can really see that's etched in there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it looks great.
And I can catch my fingernail on it. You know, I can.
Oh, you can see it.
And when you do it on one of these that you've blackened, it really stands out.
Right.
But it's just a good way to mark your tools. If you want to mark your tools, you're going to level up, not to harp on level up, but if you're going to level up and you're worried about your tools not coming back to you, now you have a simple way to etch them.
Right.